Kevin offered Dalton a power pill, but his friend thought that his grandfather needed it more. They kept passing it back and forth, each insisting that the other take it. Finally, Kevin decided that it would be better if both of them took the pill, so he reached into his pocket and pulled out another one. "This should settle your argument," Kevin informed them as he handed a second power pill to Dalton. Dalton and his grandfather didn't have to be told twice. They each took their power pill and swallowed it right away. Kevin told them to sit for a while and let the pill take effect. Some people even meditate so they can relax during the process. Kevin sat back in his chair and slowly sipped the wine. He and Miranda chatted a little to pass the time. Suddenly, Rain and Blanca stood up and walked around the table to Kevin. "I'm sorry, Kevin. Blanca and I were wrong about you. I hope you won't hold it against us." Rain apologized sincerely. "You don't need to apologize. Didn't bother me," Kevin replied as he put his wine glass on the table. He knew exactly why they were suddenly being so nice to him. "Unfortunately, I don't have another one on me. When I have the time, I'll make a pill for each of you," Kevin replied to them. But actually, he didn't want to give either of them a power pill. Kevin had moved beyond the point where a power pill could help him, but it still wasn't something that should be given away without considering what someone may do with it. When he heard Dalton's cousins insulting him earlier, it didn't bother him, but he thought they might misuse their power to take revenge on someone for a tiny offense. "Thank you, Kevin." Rain and Blanca thanked him profusely. They had no idea that Kevin had no intention of giving them one of his pills. However, Miranda saw right through and understood what Kevin was thinking, but she didn't say anything. She just sat there quietly sipping her coffee. After Dalton's cousins and his wife left, his grandfather finally came back into the room. Norman talked with Kevin for a few minutes and then went up to his bedroom. That left Kevin alone in the living room with Dalton. Norman was fine with his grandson hanging around with Kevin. If the Steele family could be connected with such a powerful person, it could definitely help them in the future. When it was almost 11 o'clock, Dalton finally felt better and woke up from his relaxation. "Not bad, Dalton. You look better already. How do you feel?" Kevin asked him. "I never thought that a power pill could have such an immediate effect," Dalton confided as he started to open and close his hand. Even though he still hadn't completely recovered from his injuries, he could tell that his body was much stronger than before. With a solemn expression on his face, he exclaimed, "I can see why people are willing to pay so much for this." Just remember that the power pill works best when someone is at a lower level in their training. For example, if I took one now, I wouldn't feel it at all, Kevin explained. The reason why you feel so much better isn't only because of medicinal pills, it's also because you've been doing so much over the years and you are ready for it. "Let's change the subject. Have another glass of wine with me," Dalton suggested as he raised his wine glass to toast Kevin. "Okay, my friend," Kevin answered him, "but just a little. You're still regaining your strength." The two of them talked for a few hours before they finally fell asleep. When Kevin woke up the next day, he saw that Dalton was still on the couch, sleeping like a log. Kevin went downstairs and had a light breakfast with Norman, and then he left for Williams Media. "Has anything unusual happened in the company lately?" Kevin asked Miss Wilson as he pored over the materials that she'd prepared for him. "Everything's going well. Ever since you took care of the problem with Vito Booker, Brittany and Charity were offered a lot of advertising contracts. Now they're our top 2 clients in the city," she reported cheerfully. "That's great news," Kevin responded. After a moment, he added, "I wonder if you could help me with something. Could you have a few large bowls delivered to my office?" "Yes, sir," Miss Wilson replied as she left the room. Then Kevin called Mitchell Cook and his other friends to ask them to come to his office right away. They hadn't seen each other since they'd gotten back from the Williams family mansion. But his main reason for inviting them was that he wanted to take control of as much of Chicago as he could. Cook and the others would be a huge help to him in the future, so he needed to get them on board with his plan. An hour later, with some ingredients he'd brought along with him and using the bowls Miss Wilson had found for him, Kevin had prepared 9 pills. He finished just before his friends walked in. "We hurried over as soon as you called. Is there something important that you need to tell us?" Adriana inquired. "Please have a seat first," Kevin replied as he gestured for them to sit down on the sofa along the wall. Then he smiled as he took the pills in his hand. "Have you all recovered from your injuries yet? Kevin asked them as his eyes swept across their faces. "I've been busy ever since I got back, so I never had a chance to visit with you guys." "Oh, we got over that a long time ago," Cook replied casually. Kevin decided to get right to the point. "I called you guys over here to find out if you're interested in joining me on a path of personal growth that can lead to much greater things." Cook and the others looked at each other when they heard him say this. Finally, Emo Squire answered, "I think you already know we'll stand with you no matter what, but why are you suddenly asking us now?" "I'm glad to hear that," Kevin replied very emotionally. "I have something for you. Do you know what these are?" Kevin opened his hand to show them the pills that he just manufactured. "Are those power pills?" Gilbert asked him curiously. "That's right, Gilbert," Kevin admitted openly. "But I only have one request. You must never give them to others, and you can't tell anyone that I gave them to you." They all stood up from the sofa, fascinated by the pills that they saw in Kevin's hand. They were all very excited because of the rumors about what had happened at the Pearl family auction house a while ago. Just one of these herbal pills was worth a fortune. "Each of you can have 2 of them," Kevin announced. Then he placed one in Cook's hand and let them divide the rest. After they had each taken a power pill, they sat back down in the comfortable sofa to let the medicine take effect. For the next hour, Kevin laid out his plan in detail. Cook and the others were chomping at the bit to get started. When it was a little past 5 o'clock, the group left the office. But now, with Kevin's help, they had all become even more powerful than they were before. Kevin stood at his office window and looked out at the streets below, thinking to himself, "We've finally taken the first step in taking back this city." The next day went by very quickly. With great fanfare and with all of the city's most important political figures in attendance, the Chicago School for the Natural Healing Arts officially opened its doors. More than 1,000 people had already gathered on the campus. The new students were all checking each other out, trying to figure out who would be the most popular. Some of them were wondering what the ratio of male to female students was. The serious students were simply excited to get started on their training. Suddenly, there was a lot of commotion in the crowd. A bright red pulled up. This got everyone talking. Some of them knew that the car cost at least $2 million and could reach 60 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds. They were all wondering who would step out. Sherwin Blair and Officer Emmett got out of the car with big smiles on their faces. Blair blew a kiss to a group of young women, which got him a lot of looks, including a disappointed frown from his fiancée, Officer Emmett. He enjoyed being the center of attention, so he'd bought the car just the evening before. Blair was putting on quite a show. But before he had a chance to revel in all the attention, someone else caused an even bigger stir in the crowd. Under the escort of 2 flying spurs, 5 screeched to a stop in front of the main building. A handsome man got out of the car and attracted way more attention than Blair had. Just about everyone knew that it was Wade Bennett. He was a famous race car driver, and the 3 cars that had just pulled up were worth more than some people earn in a lifetime if they're lucky. While everyone was admiring his fancy rides, a string of black sedans started pouring onto the campus. Fortunately, the school had decided to open in the suburbs instead of downtown, or the traffic congestion would have been a nightmare, even by Chicago standards. Soon, a large group of bodyguards wearing black suits stepped out of the cars and started to gesture to the crowd to clear a path. Everyone was wondering who was about to arrive. After all, the students were all from rich families, but this was on another level. While they were all trying to guess who it would be, a bright green rumbled to a stop at the space that the bodyguards had opened up. A few of them quickly walked over and opened the door, and a beautiful woman in a fiery red dress stepped out gracefully. The students couldn't believe they'd be going to the same school as Penny Sutherland. She was from the richest family in the Midwest. The Sutherland family had businesses and factories in every city for hundreds of miles. They also had quite an impressive history in both business and politics. This wasn't surprising because they'd been working on their personal development for years. It made sense for them to send one of their children to the school so they could keep their competitive edge. Suddenly, everyone heard a loud noise in the sky. They all turned and looked up to see 3 private helicopters flying in formation. They landed right in the middle of the soccer field, and when they shut off their engines, a group of new students stepped out. It was an impressive sight. Then a distinguished-looking middle-aged man stepped up to the podium that had been placed on the steps of the main building. He tapped the microphone and spoke to the new class. "First of all, I'm very happy that you've all chosen to begin your studies at our fine school. Please keep in mind that we have strict rules on behavior, and if they aren't followed to the letter, you risk expulsion." After he finished speaking, some school officials went up to the students who had arrived by helicopter and escorted them off the campus. Next, the students were divided into 4 groups that split up to the north, south, east, and west. They had all received text informing them of their group assignments and a link to their schedule. As they were all filing into the buildings for their orientation classes, Kevin pulled up and parked in a visitor spot. "Kevin, you're the slowest driver I've ever seen. How can you get someplace late?" Dalton teased Kevin. "Why don't you drive next time? Anyway, it was your idea to take the Dan Ryan Expressway," Kevin snapped back. Of course, they'd been stuck in a traffic jam on the way there. A ride that should have taken a little over half an hour dragged on for almost 2 hours. The school had been granted a piece of land in the suburbs many years before, but it had taken a long time for the construction to be completed. "That's a lot of people," Kevin commented as he looked at the enormous crowd filing into the buildings. He was tempted to turn around and leave. "Damn it, look at them all. I think they've already divided everyone up into classes. Come on, Kevin, let's go take a look," Dalton said as he patted his buddy on the shoulder. "Just look at them all squeezing in there. Why don't we wait until they're all gone before we go and take a look?" Kevin had no intention of going in right now. Then he added, "Anyway, the first day is just going to be orientation. Classes don't officially start until tomorrow." "Come on, let's join them," Dalton said as he slowly got out of the car. His tendons had already healed enough so that he was able to get by with just a cane. He took Kevin by the elbow and headed towards the crowd. When they got closer, they checked their smartphones and found out which way they needed to go first. After standing in line for a long time, Kevin and Dalton finally got to see the inside of a classroom. "Hey, Kevin, it looks like we're in the same classes," Dalton said happily as he slapped him on the back. "It's going to be a lot of work. Let's see how excited you are by the end of the semester," Kevin said calmly. What Kevin didn't tell his friend that he was picking up on a lot of very strong vibes, and it really had him concerned.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.